People don't already know suicide is a crime. I think people already know that. It's just like stealing.
No, patience. People actually don't know that suicide is a crime.
Really?
I still had a conversation a few days back with a group of people, and I told them suicide is a crime, and that's why you get arrested when you cross the express.
Exactly.
Right? And you know, it was like a surprise. Like, why is it a crime?
I own my life.
Right.
I should do what I like.
Now, the whole point is this: by law, the government should take responsibility for people who die by accident and who kill themselves. That's why it's a crime, because you're putting like a burden on government to do what they ordinarily would not want to do. And you know, like you mentioned, what actually drives a human being to the point where suicide is the only option. Now, this is the way man is built, or rather living things are built this way. When it's convenient, when the atmosphere is perfect, we reproduce. But when the atmosphere becomes unbearable, death is the way out of that horrible situation. Now, the whole point about a human being wanting to take their lives, it has to do a lot with the mental health and the mental conditioning of the person. You ask yourself a question: what would make a normal human being decide that life is no more worth living? There's a popular saying that when there's life, there's hope. But you must get to the point of complete and utter hopelessness for you not to see any promise in the future. And a lot of, you know, people that have committed suicide, when we take a look back at their history, it has to do a lot with depression. Now, depression is something really funny. I remember during my advanced studies as a child psychologist, one thing I realized, and a lot of people don't actually know, in most cases, depression is not triggered by external influences. A lot of depression happens on the inside, okay? And that's why when people are depressed, you find people asking them, oh, why are you unhappy? What's making you unhappy? Come out of it. Now, Patience, this is a surprise. To look at me, you would never know this, but my first bout with depression was at about 6 or 7. And then when I got to 14, I went into chronic depression. So a couple of years back, I was diagnosed with acute chronic depression and bipolar disorder. Now, some of these things are nothing external actually triggers them. And when you look at the external facade of the human being, you feel, oh, he's such a happy person. She had it all going, but it's all internal. And now there's something else. You know, the emotions, the brain has what you call triggers, like nerves. Okay, different nerves in the brain are responsible for different emotions. Feelings of joy, feelings of sadness, feelings of happiness and excitement. Now, for some people in my category who are in the spectrum of depression, nothing external happens, but the nerves in your brain responsible for sadness and unhappiness begin to work in overdrive.
What triggers that?
There's really no trigger. It's a medical...
Yes. Activates.
Exactly. Now, to a large extent, for most people, most regular people, every human being at one point or the other in their life goes through depression. Now, for some regular people, normal, who don't have a mental health issue, external factors like the loss of a loved one, the business gone bad, financial trouble, love issues could make you
tangible
things. Depression is actually, you know, those things could make you fall into depression. But for some people,
with the mental health issue in that regard,
it's a health issue.
It's more of an internal thing.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you for shedding a lot of light on that. Now,